You alright? Welcome to
What's that?
and today we have something really different for you. We have a special guest. We've got my good friend Ash Tucker in today. Ash hosts a jam night with me sometimes in Weston-super-Mare in the Brit Bar, and he's also a teacher at UE, and he has his own guitar lessons as well, and he has his own podcast as well, The Year of No Gear, where he tries not to buy anything for a whole year and talks about the musician's mental health, and he talks about the whole idea of gear acquisition syndrome as a whole. Do you need it? Is it serving you? Are you buying it just for the sake of having it? It's a really good podcast. He has guests on too. I suggest you check him out. Links for him are in the description, along with mine. And let's get in to see what he's got for us today. All right.
So, welcome to the show. What's that then? So what is that?
What is that? Thanks for having me on. I love a bit of guitar nerdery. So this is my parts Telecaster that I made with my friend Ellis. We've been building guitars together since we were teenagers, so since about 16. I think we've built 4 or 5 Fender style guitars. There's another one around here somewhere that he built for me. I just don't quite know where it is, but it's like a black Cabronita Telecaster, and that thing's really cool.
You don't know where the guitar is. That's a pretty cool thing to say. It's somewhere. It's somewhere around here.
I just kind of try and isolate. I don't know if you've done this recently, but I've been just isolating everything down to just like what I'm immediately using. So I have a rack full of guitars next to me, about 6 of them, and then the other 2 are kind of in the cases and just out of my brain space for a minute. But
yeah, I've got other ones downstairs, but I still think about them.
oh, well,
Yeah.
I forget about a lot of my children. So this one he built. I want to say it's about 2 years old. It's not very old, but it's an interesting story. We built it because I played a custom shop Telecaster in a local shop that was incredible, but I could not afford it. The price tag was about $3,000. I just couldn't afford how much that instrument was. So I sort of left it, planning to save up the money for it, and then never managed it. It got sold. So in typical fashion, Ellis came to me and said, "Oh, don't worry about it. We'll just build you one. It's just a Telecaster. Like how hard can it be?" So we put this one together. Sort of chose all the parts. We chose the wood. We chose the neck, everything else. And then fast forward about 2 years, and I'm surfing around eBay, and a Telecaster becomes available on eBay, a custom shop, candy apple red Telecaster, purchased from insert shop name here. And I looked at it and went, that's 100% the guitar I tried. It was, it was the only one in the shop. I knew it was the one. I messaged the guy and said, "Can I come and try this guitar out, because I think I know what it is?" And he said, you can try it once you've bought it."
One of those classic lines.
One of those guys, and
Oh.
I did it straight away, just been like, "All right, mate, jog on." But I was so in love with this guitar when I played it that I just bit the bullet. I drove about an hour to meet him in a services car park and bought it. And then I got it home, and it played great, but this was sort of sat kind of staring at me, just kind of being like, "So you don't love me anymore then?" And
I've had that before.
yeah, and I was playing it, and I went, okay, well, I'm playing this custom shop. I'm just going to go back and play the other one. And without even plugging it in, this thing was just louder. It just I hit the open strings. You probably won't hear it. The mic will probably. But I just hit the open strings, and it just threw sound out. And the custom shop wasn't doing that. It wasn't throwing sound out in the same way. And the custom shop plugged in sounded more like your traditional Telecaster would, like a total twang machine. It's just so bright and so much. And I actually don't really like that in a Telecaster, because although I'm a country music fan and I love country music stuff, I think Telecasters are so much more versatile than that. It depends on what you like. Like my Strat is I've got a Strat here that's a complete and utter, it's just bright. It's just totally bright. But I love that because that's what that guitar's job does. Whereas for a live instrument, you don't really want that. You want something that's kind of a bit of everything. And this is the tagline of why Telecasters are so great. They're all a bit shit. They're all a bit shit. But that's why they're great, because they don't do anything I mean, they do some things particularly well, but they don't do anything excelling unless you're doing that kind of country thing. But when you have one that doesn't really excel, in a weird way, the tonal
Make it more
characteristics,
useful.
yeah, the tonal characteristics of it make it move towards other areas, especially if you know how to use the volume and tone controls.
Yeah.
So this thing was just fatter, and yeah, the custom shop went to a shop the day after. We made this guitar for probably a collection of, out of a collection of parts we chose, for about 500 quid, you know, and it's very quickly becoming my most used instrument. Like anything, any live gig now I go to, my two guitars I always take is I take this and my white Les Paul Jr. But since owning this and learning how to properly use the volume and tone controls, I'm just happy with this. The only time it doesn't do is if I want something to just plug into an amp and just make it crank. And if it does that, again, that's what the Les Paul Jr.'s for.
Yeah.
If I start with the volume and the tone back on 7, which I always do, you know, if I want it to be more like a Les Paul thing, cool, I'll hit a drive pedal on, I'll turn the volume up and I'll roll the tone back and it's more Les Paul-like. If I want it to be more snappy, I'll roll the volume back, I'll roll the tone up, maybe put like a clean boost on it, and it'll do it. Like it's just, I'm such a big fan as well of sort of like Nashville session guys.
Yeah.
And you know, they have lots of different guitars, but there's something about a Telecaster when I see somebody with one in its hand, and it's the sort of player I'd like to be, is that if somebody's playing a Tele, you kind of can go either way with it. If someone's playing a Tele and they're wicked, you go, oh man, like that's someone who knows how to get the best out of a simple guitar. And if somebody's playing a Tele and they're a little bit shit, you just go, that's punk rock, innit? It's cool, like, you know. And this thing beat out a multiple thousands custom shop guitar for me, and the advantage of having the worn paint job.
Yeah, talk about that paint job, because I love that relic job there. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
I did it. I don't know. I go through stages with it. The guy who I got to paint the body, he was he was really into relicking, and he was like, oh, I've learned how to get it properly, and he had an original 60s Tele as well, and he was like, oh, base it off of that, it's cool. And I was a bit like, I've never had one, so I'll try it. And I'm sort of glad I did, because it does make it look a little bit less new, and I think the relic job is good. I mean, somebody who's a bit more kind of apt with it might know that it's, you know, that it's a bit of a not as good a job. But I think he did a pretty good job. He kind of scratched the back up with his like keys and stuff, and
I really like it. I love how you can see the undercoat of that as well.
chunks out.
More
of
than-
it,
And also the wood that's exposed isn't like pitch white like some of the earlier Fenders.
no, he's
when
gone.
When Fender do relic jobs, it's either really, really good and you can't tell, or it's so atrociously bad. It's like, well, great, okay, you've just peeled off a whole layer of thick nitro, and you've got maybe just 0.5 millimeter of finish under like pitch white wood because it's still new.
I mean,
You
the
can put some graphite in there or whatever.
the
He's
great
done a really good job
about
on that.
this, the great thing about the way he's done it is, I've definitely put a few knocks in this, and I can't tell which knocks are my knocks and which knocks are the ones he put in. I mean, you've seen me at Jam Night with this thing. I literally just chuck this thing in the corner. I don't really care about it because it's a Telecaster. That's it. I love that I can just beat it up. This is actually the second neck this guitar has had as well. We did have originally I used a neck from a company called All Parts on it, which was it was a soft V neck with a 7 1/4 radius, and I really
That's a
like.
strong V for me. It was a really strong V.
Really oh, you remember the old neck? Yeah, it would have been on there. Yeah, I liked that neck. It was cool. It's just the fretboard radius I really struggled with. With a 7 1/4 radius, my Strat has a 7 1/4 radius, and it's really great for chords. It's awesome because if you do like big chords and you like fancy sounding stuff, the fretboard kind of bends into your hand, so it makes it easier to play. But the problem is once you start trying to play leads and you get higher up on the neck, you go up on notes and they sort of fret out and you have trouble with it. And I was astounded. I bought this. This is just a Mexican neck. I think it's just from a player Telecaster, but I bought this off of eBay. It had never been on a guitar before, and I got a good deal on it. And I was amazed at how different it made the guitar sound once I changed the neck. I did think
Yeah, it does. honestly, the communication between the body and the neck is so important. That neck join is really, really important. If you over tighten the screws, then the guitar won't resonate right. But also, if the wood just doesn't communicate right, maybe the lacquer's too thick on one part, and maybe there's a bit of a gap in the neck pocket.
Well, that's the weird thing about this guitar, because the old neck didn't have any finish on it. It was a thing I really liked with guitars. My favorite neck I've ever played actually was on a Charvel San Dimas that I used to have, which was completely unfinished. It didn't have any finish on the neck, and I loved that. And we did the same to all of the necks, and then when the fretboard radius wasn't on it, I kind of had to accept that I'd probably have to buy a neck with finish on it. And the minute I put this one on, it just kind of, the guitar was a little bit kind of subdued. It didn't have quite as much snap as I wanted, but when I put this neck on, I don't know why, everything just kind of started playing right. It had more snap, it had more of what I wanted, but it didn't lose the body of the guitar. The guitar itself still had, had to get stuff. And it's got nitro paint on it as well, which really makes a difference. It's taken a couple of years, but
That's when that checks. It's gonna be so good.
it looks great, but the guitar wakes up over time, because when I first built it and it first got painted, it wasn't, it was a good guitar. It wasn't a great guitar. It hadn't like opened yet.
Yeah.
And then over the years of playing it, again, Ellis, who built the guitar, always says, like to me, he's like, you got to play it. You got to, like, wood's weird. Wood kind of has to learn that it's a guitar. It has to accept. It almost takes time for it to accept that it's not a tree anymore, and that it's it's made for vibration to go through it. And then the paint kind of opens up, or the wood. I don't know the science of it, but he's totally right, because when I used to play the guitar unplugged, it rang a bit, but not really. And now I just play it unplugged, and every time I pick it up, I go, wow, this thing is, it's huge. It sounds huge. And yeah,
I think that's true. A lot of guitars need to open up. Like my Epiphone Les Paul was refretted by a mate of mine, Ayrton, and when it came back, it was a great guitar. I had the fretboard re-radius and the frets put in. It felt completely different, and while all the changes I wanted made it more playable, it didn't feel like it was ready for it. It like the guitar was kind of responding like, this is so weird, what the hell. But
and that's the biggest. That is
a few months in, it's playing amazing, and I play it all the time as much as my Gibson.
Yeah,
because it's so comfortable, and it's set in with itself, and it resonates, and it feeds back really well live. So guitars do need to like kind of submit to themselves.
Any change you make is it's going to detriment a guitar in some way. But I did a couple of little mods to the wiring on this as well, which make it kind of interesting. So the pickups are made by a company called Mojo, out of the UK, and I originally bought a set of pickups used on a forum from somebody, and they were his I think they were 60s Telecaster pickups. They were worn, and that was the bridge pickup that came in, and he gave me the neck pickup. The neck pickup was good, but I kind of wanted a bit more of like a stratty thing out of the Telecaster, which is another thing I think about Telecasters. If you try and make a Strat bridge pickup sound like a Tele, it's kind of not going to happen, because the pickups
never
are
going to work.
But
I don't know how that happens. Even the hardtail Strats sound like a Strat.
yeah, but
Tele.
I've played Tele neck pickups that have reminded me of Strats, and this one is no different. So I asked the guy at Mojo to build me this pickup afterwards, and I love the look of it. It's really cool, but it's I think it's called his Open T, but it's built slightly more like a Strat, and it doesn't sound like it's kind of like halfway. It's sort of like it's got a bit of Strat character to it, but it's still a Tele neck pickup. And then the plate down here is probably the most interesting thing. Like I said, I'm used to Strats, and I got this plate. So I don't know if you can see that. I'll put that up to the camera. You can see the
we can see that.
Yeah. So the plate's like reversed. What's supposed to happen with the plate is when you buy the plate, it comes with an angled jack, for the switch, and it's supposed to be the other way around. But I find, because I'm used to a Strat, and because the volume controls are up further and the tone switch is kind of down, I preferred it being further back. So I keep my volume and tone control here so I can get to it with my fingers, and then the gear switcher is kind of...
Just noticed your switch is slanted.
Yeah. So originally it's supposed to be the other way around, so that it's like a Strat. The switch it's like a slanted switch Tele plate. It's named Eva as well. I haven't spoken about the the
I
name.
didn't know about the name.
Yeah, we called it Eva because me and Ellis and a few of our mates at the time we were building this, I still are, really into this like pop sort of punk band. They're kind of like new wave pop punk, but they were Charlie Bliss. If you get a chance to look them up, they're quite cool. Their first album, Guppy, we were really into, and their lead singer is called Eva Hendricks, and she plays a candy apple red 68 Mustang. And
Okay.
when I was looking at the color and trying to describe to somebody the color I wanted this guitar, I just kept going, Eva Hendricks' 68 Mustang, like that color. And then once the guitar got put together, Ellis was like, well, obviously the guitar's got to be called Eva. You know, it's a kind of classy name. It's not like Tallulah or anything like that. It's getting on for it. But
Or Roxy.
or Roxy, yeah. But it worked, and it's great. And I just, yeah, it's a chuck around. But I know that if I can play anything on this instrument, because of that, it's a little bit shit factor. Any other guitar will be kind of a breeze to play, because if I'm likely to play like chordal stuff, I'll switch over to a Strat. If this isn't working, if I want more solo or lead stuff, I'll switch over to a Les Paul. It really kind of gives me the direction, and that's what I think you want in a number one guitar or pair of guitars. You want guitars that not only serve as masters of most trades, but also as compasses to lead you towards an instrument. You know, knowing that, okay, if this isn't working, I know what I'm going to go to that is working. Yeah, and after seeing your video on your Les Paul Junior as well, I agree. Like, my Les Paul Junior was the guitar that taught me to use my volume and tone controls. But yeah, it's that thing of, if you know how to use your volume and tone controls, you can make things work. I couldn't go back now to being one of those guys where everything's on 10 all the time, because I'm just like, well, I can't go anywhere now. And it also ignited my like shopping need more so, because little things I could have sorted out with one guitar by just using those tone controls.
So many boosts and so many drives, and your amps can't, or at least my amp couldn't take it because I biased it too hot, and it keeps on turning itself off now.
It's a load of stuff. And it's a load of kind of like incremental things that you don't kind of need to get into. But yeah, it's a total mutt, but it works great. And you know, even now doing the lessons, I still plug it in. I record here with a Fender Concert, an 86 Fender Concert, and you know, straight into an aux box. And every time I plug this in any position, I just go, this thing sounds great, sounds cool.
Yeah, it does sound great. It's a good guitar.
Yeah, it is. It's all right. I like it very much. Great. Nice one.
Yeah, it's good to have you on the show, Ash, and thanks for showing us your lovely instrument.
It's all right. No worries.
Plenty to dive into, which is brilliant. And we'll have you on again at some point, and we'll get your Les Paul on, because I would love to see that.
Cool. Yeah. The junior, probably, well, either or. They're both here, but yeah, the junior and the gold topper are slamming. So
yeah. We'll get the junior on as well while it's still white, because I don't want to see it any other color.
I'd probably not. We won't refinish it. You'll be okay.
Yeah, please don't. Right. Anyway, take it easy, Ash. Thanks for coming on the show.
So there we have it. That's What's That Then, episode 3. We've got a special guest already. That's crazy. I'm so thankful people are liking it and people want to come on, want to share their stories. I'm glad it's coming together. So if you have a cool story about your guitar, then let me know. Let's try something out. Let's get some contacts down in the diary, and let's see what you got, son. But yeah, thanks Ash for showing us your lovely guitar, and I'm sure we'll have you on again soon. He's got a lovely Les Paul I want to check out. I love Les Pauls. Anyway, bye.